First, I want to thank my family and friends for wearing purple because it is it's the epilepsy awareness color, and everyone in my family wore it, including the people who don't like it. My dad. Anyway, so hi, if you don't know me, I'm Mikayla, and I am 15 years old. I'm a youth here, and fun fact, my family helped start this church. I have epilepsy and anxiety. And if you don't know, those two do not mix well together. Epilepsy is a condition where one of my triggers could cause a seizure, and anxiety is just where I worry way too much. Back to epilepsy. For me, epilepsy is what's called a hidden disability. Some people don't think it's a disability, but the definition of a disability is: a disability is broadly defined as any physical or mental condition that substantially limits a person's major life activities, making it more difficult to perform certain tasks or interact with the world. Now, a hidden disability is all of that, just hidden. What makes it a hidden disability, you may ask? Let's say I were to have a seizure right here, right now. Don't worry, I won't. I hope. But if I were, I would get my permit revoked for 6 months. I can't scuba dive. I can't have more than 1 glass of alcohol when I'm 21. I would have to avoid everything that I did in that moment that caused the seizure. And I can't take a shower unsupervised. Imagine not being able to take a shower unsupervised. And lastly, I could get SUDEP. Sudden unexpected death in epilepsy. SUDEP is one of the biggest factors that makes it challenging. I can't sleep without thinking I'm not going to wake up the next morning. What some view as not a disability very much is a disability to me. Here are a few stories that might make no sense in the moment, but I promise I'm going somewhere with it. I read this book in ELA called The Last Book in the Universe. It follows this character named Spaz, and he has epilepsy from the mind probes. And I was in class, my teacher was reading it, and I didn't feel too great that day. I was shaking, my stomach felt weird, like I was gonna have a seizure. I couldn't remember if I took my medicine that day. So I laid my head down on my desk. Right when I laid my head down, I'm thinking to myself, why do I, out of everyone in this world, have to have epilepsy? What if I had a seizure right here, right now? Would anyone care? Would they laugh? I remember thinking, what's the purpose of this stupid disability? And then I hear my teacher read from the book. Don't hate the spaz? Are you serious? The seizures are why I lost my family unit, why I can never see them again. You think of it as a curse, but the curse is also a blessing. When I tell you I immediately shot up and wrote that down for this sermon, I was so excited. It felt like that write that down Henry Danger meme. But I read this back multiple times, and it reminded me of a few Bible verses I enjoy. Philippians 4:6. Don't be anxious about anything. Rather, bring up all your requests to God in your prayer and petitions, along with giving thanks. And then there is also Philippians 4:9. Practice these things, whatever you learned, received, heard, or saw in us, the God of peace will be with you. Those verses hit me a little, because in that moment, I was getting mad at my epilepsy, scared, anxious I was going to have a seizure. But then Ryder, the old man in the book, says, it's not a curse, it's a blessing. So that made me wonder, how is it a blessing if it's not a curse? Well, with epilepsy, you never know when you're going to have a seizure or if it's going to kill you. It's sad, but so you live life to your fullest. And from my favorite book, 5 Feet Apart, I quote this quote a lot. It's just life. It'll be over before you know it. I also have a heightened sense of empathy for others with a hidden disability. And to change to the lifestyle with epilepsy, it requires a lot of inner strength. And did you know that people with epilepsy have 5 times the more brain power than people without epilepsy? Yup. So really, it is a blessing to have these qualities. Let's circle back to the anxiety real quick. Once upon a time, I didn't believe in God, and I had terrible anxiety. So I decided to pray alone for the first time in my life for my epilepsy to go away. And nothing. But that's because, and I know everyone says this, God works in mysterious ways. I don't pray a lot, and when I do, it's more of an urgent thing. But I feel prayer to me is something I can be vulnerable with, something I can do my own way, because God is there. He knows what is wrong before I know what's wrong. So I gave up for about a month, and my anxiety heightened. I decided to look up Bible quotes on a Bible app, and the first one I see was Philippians 4:6, do not be anxious. I immediately highlight it and wonder, is God always truly there? To go off of this, when I was having an anxiety attack in school, I thought I was alone. But God can't miraculously help solve that. But he can help me through it. A teacher notices me and sends me to the office. Now, I don't tell you all this to feel sad for me or be scared even. I tell you all this to show you how God can appear in the unfortunate. Even if you don't ask of it, he is there. You just have to look for him. My family goes to Disney a lot, and I've ridden every single ride at Disney. Doesn't mean I like all of them, I've just ridden them. But I used to love this ride called Space Mountain. And as I grew older and my anxiety grew stronger, I started to fear Space Mountain. I was so afraid that the structures inside of Space Mountain that project the stars were going to hit my head or my hands and they would fall off. So I just stopped riding it. I was at Disney with my parents for my mom's birthday. We had just gotten annual passes, and I was so excited. My mom was choosing all the rides, and she chose Space Mountain to be the first ride of the day. I said, I'll go on People Mover instead, because People Mover's right here, Space Mountain's right here. But I don't like Space Mountain, and my mom was so nervous to let me go on a ride alone. But after convincing her that I knew the park inside and out, she finally let me. So I go on People Mover, and it was broken down, and my anxiety was so bad. That's a story for another day. So I go on People Mover, and People Mover has this section where you go through the inside of Space Mountain, and it's dark for about 1 minute. But to me, it felt like 5 minutes. I was in the front cart alone, sitting on the left side, and I look to my right where the Space Mountain is, and I see this shadow, silhouette. My great-grandma died a few years ago. Her name was Mimi. She loved adventures, and she loved everything to do with us. So the more I look at the silhouette, I start freaking out. I'm trying to remember my box breathing, the in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. But then the more I look at it, the calmer I get all of a sudden. I love learning about Mimi through stories and all that stuff, but the more I looked at the silhouette, the more it looked like Mimi. I was praying for it to go away, praying for my anxiety to stop. But instead, I look at it like God sent me someone who could help me through my anxiety. What made it even better was I wasn't the only one worrying. So was my mom, and the silhouette only showed up at the Space Mountain part, where my mom was. So it was like Mimi was there for me and my mom. With anxiety, I mentioned I worry way too much. But what I worry about is a whole different story. I worry about everything, and I mean everything. Even the simplest task, my brain finds a way to turn it into a worry. But one thing I have worried about for the longest time is, what if someone can hear my thoughts? It sucks. I feel like I can't think freely in public. Whenever someone says something, I feel like they're talking bad about me. I feel like they're talking about how they hate me. But I know it's not true. My brain just doesn't turn off. Remember how I said praying is vulnerable for me? Yeah, I can't do that in public spaces because of the fear that people can hear my thoughts. What if someone judges me for what I'm praying for? What if someone thinks I'm wrong? What if someone thinks that what I think is different? It's terrible. But of course, that's not gonna happen. But my brain tells me it will. You know how everyone says be nice because you don't know what someone is going through? That is absolutely true. We as humans do something that's called masking. It's where we put on a facade and pretend we're okay. An example of this is I seem like this brave, bubbly girl who will come up here and preach, who likes to joke around and I have my life together. Everyone would love me, right? Wrong. I struggle to find courage to make friends. I struggle to be happy. I struggle to get out of bed every day in fear that if I leave my safe space, I'm a goner. So people are always struggling internally. Even the slightest compliment makes my day. And I find God in that because he knows I'm struggling. Epilepsy can be traumatic, not just to me, but the people around me, my family, my friends, my teachers. I had a seizure right before my band concert, and what people tell me is it was terrible. And don't have a seizure again, please. Can't control it, but in reality, I can't control it. I remember I was anxious because it was my first solo, but that's all I remember. It took me a day to recover and another day to finally accept it was reality. But I believe that God was there for everyone in that room. Sure, they're a little traumatized. But imagine how traumatizing it would be to see someone actually die. I relate this sermon series with these stories because anxiety attacks and epilepsy can make you feel broken and sad. You feel like you're in pieces, like you're never gonna get your life together, or you're a mess up. God can help us through these difficult times by simply being there. He has been and always will be with us. In youth group, we do God moments every week. I struggle to find them, but I found that if you're looking for them, much like if you get a new car, you see it more often. You see the God moments more often. Believing that God has been with me through my anxiety and epilepsy has really helped me with my broken pieces. What started out as something that felt like I was helpless or some disability I could never get rid of has now become my superpower. Let us pray. Dear God, thank you for everything you have done. Thank you for always being with us and letting us know that you are always going to be with us. It's in your name I pray. Amen.